You went for fast food because you did not want to think. That was the whole point. No cooking, no dishes, no grocery math. Just a burger, fries, a drink. Something quick before the rest of the day keeps moving. Then the checkout screen turns around, and for 1 second you just stare at it. Because the total does not feel like fast food anymore. It feels like you accidentally ordered from a real restaurant. Except you are still standing under fluorescent lights, holding a paper bag. That is the moment people are feeling now. Not just, this got expensive. More like, wait, why does this feel wrong? By the end, you will understand why fast food got so expensive, and why the value meal stopped feeling like a value. Not because every restaurant is scamming you, because fast food did not just get more expensive, it stopped feeling worth it. Prices rose, combos got better at upselling, apps and delivery changed the real price, and suddenly, fast food is competing with groceries again. The old promise was simple. Fast food was cheap, fast, and predictable. You knew what it was, you knew what it cost, you knew what you were getting. That predictability was part of the product. But once the total starts surprising you, the spell breaks. You are no longer buying a cheap meal. You are buying convenience and asking if convenience is still enough. That is what makes the feeling personal. I came here because I did not want to think. Now I am doing math at the menu. Reason 1. Prices rose and the old value anchor disappeared. In May 2026, food away from home in the United States rose 0.3% from April. Compared with May 2025, it was 3.5% higher. Limited service meals, the category that includes fast food-style meals, were 3.3% higher than a year earlier. Tiny twist. Those numbers can be true and still feel too small, because you do not experience restaurant prices 1 month at a time. You experience them as memory. You remember what a quick stop used to feel like. Then you compare that memory with today's receipt, and the years stacked up. USDA says food away from home prices rose 7.7% in 2022, then 7.1% in 2023, then 4.1% in 2024, then 3.8% in 2025. For 2026, USDA forecasts another 3.6% increase. So when someone says the latest increase is only a few percent, that can be true. But it sits on top of the last increase, and the one before that, and the one before that. The receipt remembers all of it. That is why the old cheap feeling does not come back just because the newest number is calmer. Fast food is still convenient, but it is not anchored in the same bargain. And once that anchor disappears, every combo starts to feel suspicious. Now the second reason gets uncomfortable. The combo meal became an upsell machine. A combo looks like one decision: burger, fries, drink, done. That is why it feels easy. But the real menu is not one decision. It is a chain of tiny questions. Make it larger, add another item, change the drink, try the limited time thing, round it out with dessert. The cheap option started asking restaurant questions. And none of those questions has to be outrageous by itself. That is what makes it work. Each step feels small. Each choice feels optional. Then the final receipt looks nothing like the number that got your attention. This is not a conspiracy. It is product design. Fast food sells speed, but it also sells permission. Permission to not think too hard. Permission to say, sure, make it a meal. Permission to make the order feel complete. But when prices are already higher, every little yes gets heavier. The combo used to feel like savings. Now it can feel like a trap door. Pause for a second. That is why people do not only complain about price, they complain about the feeling. The feeling that the cheap meal made them negotiate. Reason 3. Apps and delivery changed the real price. Sometimes the best deal is in the app. Sometimes it is only for rewards members. Sometimes it depends on pickup, delivery, timing, or a coupon buried behind a tap. So the cheap price starts to feel conditional. You are not just ordering food, you are checking whether you ordered it the correct way. That is annoying in a very specific way, because again, you came here to think less. Now the phone is making you hunt for the version of the meal that still feels like a deal. Delivery adds another layer. In 2026, the FTC asked for public comment on whether new rules were needed for unfair or deceptive fee practices in online food and grocery delivery. The FTC said unclear fees, inconsistent disclosure, and last-minute charges can make it harder for people to compare real prices. The Federal Register notice described a familiar pattern. A delivery order may include a delivery fee, a service fee, a small order fee, possible menu price differences, discount restrictions, and a tip prompt. That does not mean every order is deceptive, but it does explain the irritation. The total arrives late. The mental math falls apart. And even if you abandon the cart, you already spent time building it. Backing out can feel like losing twice. The meal is no longer just food. It is food plus friction. And friction is the enemy of fast food. Fast food was built on the feeling of, I know what this costs. Apps and delivery can replace that with, I will find out at checkout. That is a totally different emotional product. And once fast food stops feeling predictable, people start comparing it to everything else. That is reason 4. The comparison changed. For years, fast food won because it was easy. Not always the best, not always the healthiest, but easy. Now, the question is sharper. If this is not cheap anymore, what exactly am I paying for? USDA has noted that convenience foods from fast food and full-service restaurants tend to be more expensive than convenience foods bought from grocery stores. And grocery stores are leaning into that opening. FMI reported that consumers choosing deli-prepared foods in place of restaurant meals rose from 12% in 2017 to 28% in 2025. That statistic matters because it shows the comparison has moved. Fast food is no longer only competing with another drive-through. It is competing with a grocery store meal, a frozen meal, leftovers, a local restaurant. Anything that makes the shopper think, for this total, I might as well choose something else. That is the moment fast food stops feeling merely expensive and starts feeling wrong. Not because the food changed overnight, because the comparison changed. The convenience is still there, but the value feels weaker. So the story is not just prices went up. That is too simple. The real story is that fast food lost the thing that made people forgive everything else. It lost the automatic feeling of being a good deal. That is the hidden cost. Not just the extra money, the extra thinking, the menu math, the app hunt, the fee stack. The feeling that fast food is asking you to work harder for the same convenience. When the price is higher, the combo is nudging you upward. The best deal lives behind an app. Delivery adds fees. And groceries look competitive. Your brain reaches one conclusion. This feels wrong. That does not mean you should never eat fast food. And it does not mean every restaurant is doing something shady. It means the old bargain changed. Fast food feels expensive in the worst way when convenience stays the same, but value disappears. So next time the total surprises you, that feeling has a name. It is not just the burger. It is the hidden cost of turning a cheap, predictable meal into a pricing game. Because fast food did not become painful only when it became expensive. It became painful when it stopped feeling like a deal.